Hello and welcome to the RYLACast. We have not been canceled yet, contrary to popular demand. This is the official podcast of Camp RYLA District 5810. I'm Greg Tepper. That is the man they call Josey, Andrew Rutz. What's up, Josey?
Hello, Greg.
One thing that I've realized is going to be a struggle is thinking up new, fun ways to do intros to the show.
Yeah.
So what I figured I would do is on this one, I would talk about how difficult it's going to be to think of new ways to intro. And by the time that people realize what I'm saying, the intro will be over.
Nice.
How about that?
That is a good tool.
Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with us listening to our nonsense. This is your podcast for Camp RYLA District 5810. A little bit later, coming up in the second segment, the real. We are simply the bread. Mm-hmm. The real meat of this RYLAcast sandwich. Or I guess, the real peanut butter.
Yeah.
We should have asked him. We should ask Jeff Egger what kind of sandwiches he likes. But we will hear from Jeff Egger. He will be our guest coming up here at the second segment of this. But first, as we mentioned, we are letting our guests just run roughshod over this podcast and just really grab us by the chain and just yank us wherever they want us to go.
Yep.
We have no control at this point.
Zero control.
So we asked them to come up with a theme, and Jeff Egger, in his infinite wisdom, has come up with the theme of courage. Courage. That's C-O-U-R-A-G-E. Courage. Were you a good speller growing up?
It's funny you should mention that. I was in 5th grade. I will always remember I got out of the spelling bee because I couldn't spell the word smorgasbord.
Oh, that's no way.
I still don't know if it ends in a D or a G.
It's a D.
Okay. Well,
but there's also do they make you because there's an umlaut in that, right?
I don't know. I don't know. I've never spelled it. I've never spelled it since that day.
I was actually to tell you. I don't mean to brag, but I am pretty cool. In high school I went to headline writing competitions because I am the coolest guy you know, and I was actually pretty good at it because it's just succinct ways of thinking of kind of summing things up, and I've always been pretty good at that. I lost in I want to say it was a regional. I lost in the regional headline writing competition because I misspelled the word receive.
Oh, I before E except after C.
Right. But here's the thing about I before E except after C. It applies to basically nothing except the word receive. That's the only one. It's the only one. Everything else, that's a nonsense rule. Anyway, I before E except after C. There is a C and an E in the word courage, and here to talk about it, something to think about there, is Josey.
Well, thank you, Greg. So before I get kicked off into the courage talk, I'm going to lead off with a definition.
Let's go to Mr. Webster.
Merriam-Webster defines...
Webster? Mrs. Webster?
I don't know. Webster. It's the hard-hitting questions.
Go for it.
Merriam-Webster defines courage as mental or moral strength to venture, persevere, and withstand danger, fear, or difficulty.
That is a great way to describe that by Noah Webster.
Oh. I
Googled it.
Okay.
Thank you.
So the word I want everyone to focus on is withstand danger. So in the spirit of our leadership and presidential podcast, Greg.
No way.
Way.
Yes! Presidential talk! Please tell me this is let's go Zachary Taylor.
Not Zachary Taylor. But
shot in the dark.
You spoke about Mr. Taft.
Sure did.
Before Mr. Taft, we had Theodore Roosevelt.
Ted,
who is actually, fun fact, the youngest person to become president after he became president when William McKinley was assassinated.
Yeah, it's a tough go for McKinley.
Yeah.
They got a mountain named after him.
Oh, yeah. He's fine, I'm sure.
Except for the whole getting shot thing.
Well, yeah. But Teddy, on the other hand, Teddy started out. He didn't have the best start to his life. He suffered from debilitating asthma. But at the age somewhere between 6 and 9, he discovered that strenuous activity helped with relief. And so he just was saddled with something that was hindering him, and he said, you know what? This is what fixes it, so I'm going to do strenuous activity forever. And I was watching a Netflix special by Brene Brown.
Man, another shout out to Brene Brown.
I know.
Does she want to sponsor this podcast?
That's right. She is, if you didn't know, a research professor at the University of Houston Graduate College of Social Work. And she referred to this, I don't know if it was a speech or a quote, but it's called Daring Greatly. Are you familiar with it?
No, not at all, actually.
So it's actually really long, and I'm just going to take some snippets out of it. But it starts out with, "It is not the critic who counts, not the man who points out how the strong man stumbles or where the doer of deeds could have done them better. The credit belongs to the man who is actually in the arena, whose face is marred by dust and sweat and blood, who strives valiantly, who errs, who comes short again and again, because there is no effort without error and shortcoming, but who does actually strive to do the deeds, who knows great enthusiasms, the great devotions, who spends himself in a worthy cause, who, at the best, knows in the end the triumph of high achievement, and who, at the worst, if he fails, at least fails while daring greatly, so that his place shall never be with those cold and timid souls who neither know victory nor defeat." And all that to say is, get in the arena.
Yeah.
Have some courage.
That's like the Teddy Roosevelt quote, right? Is like it belongs to the people in the arena. Like that's where, like, if you're not in it, then And I think about that a lot. Like whenever I think it's easy to be critical of people, but I also want, like, especially people who are going and kind of putting themselves out there. I think in my line of work, like, there is a certain level of criticism that is always going to be there. And I'm certainly not associating myself with courage, but what I am saying is that if you, like, the only way to actually exercise your courage is by doing something that requires it.
Right.
That's one of those things that you don't know until you need it, until you use it. And it's one of those attributes that I think we all aspire to, but until you kind of exercise those muscles, you do those strenuous activities, so to speak.
Yes. Look at that.
Then you don't know if you're going to need it. And to me, that's something that I've always that's really interesting.
Yeah, and the idea of have the courage to be yourself too, and be vulnerable. Like you said, you have to be vulnerable in order to have courage. You've got to know that you're going to get up there and you're going to get beaten. And even if you don't know, I say you might not know, but you're going to get beaten. Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
And I also have thought about the idea that I don't want to lump anybody else into this, romanticize the idea of courage. It's easy to think of heroes like, oh wow, he saved somebody from a burning building, or he these big acts that's like, wow, if I was in that situation, I don't know if I could do the same thing. But there's actually daily acts of courage that aren't as romanticized or publicized.
Man, I think about this a lot. Think about the people who sometimes the most courageous thing you can do is just get out of bed and put on clothes and go about your day.
Yes.
But there are a lot of people who struggle with that, and I think we've all been there, where it's just like, everything's terrible. I just want to stay here. I don't want to be around people. I just want to curl up.
Yep.
And sometimes just going about your daily life requires courage. It requires something that you're like deep down that you have to dig deep just to do something that's very, very small. And that's an interesting point. You're right. There's a romantic element to it that I think we think of like war heroes and things like that. And that's not to say they don't have courage,
right?
But it can be a very different kind of it.
Yeah,
you know? It doesn't need grand gestures sometimes.
And I'll go off script here. Now that you mention that,
This is scripted.
Well, I have some notes written.
Oh,
but you're.
I was going to say, dude, if you've been sending me scripts, man, we need to check my email.
Wrong email.
Yeah.
But no, I mean there was. I don't know if anybody else, anybody listening to this podcast needs to hear this, but there was a time in my life when, it was tough for me to get out of bed and just do the daily things, and I took an Expo marker, dry erase marker. And I wrote on my bathroom mirror so that I would see it as I got out of the shower every morning, today will be a good day, because I had to tell myself that. And that takes courage. It takes courage to be yourself and to live each and every day.
Well, I think you're exactly right. And I also, one thing I think about is how do I want to put this? Camp RYLA and the RYLA program is in many respects populated by people who have a lot of. They have to have some confidence. They have to be. They're achievers, right? And they put themselves out there, but they also, in a lot of ways, camp at times for I think everybody. If we're doing camp right, it's going to knock you down a peg.
Yeah.
And that is where I think the idea of courage can come up. Is you're right. I think we all, and because RYLA is kind of comprised of people who are achievers, I think that achieving also makes failure hit harder. And so I wonder if there's a lot of people who are listening to this that have been in a similar situation where it is just, I mean. I think it's really easy to get. I think we've all been down on ourselves. We've all been very, very down on ourselves and things like that. And sometimes the smallest thing the only thing you can do is just get up, get up, put on clothes, put on a brave face. My mom. That was something my mom would always say. Okay, you just need to put on a brave face. That I think is kind of the mark of true courage. It's not running into a burning building, as you said, or saving 10 orphans. That does, by the way, require courage.
It does.
Do that if you have the opportunity.
Yes.
But that's not the only way to have courage. That's interesting.
Well, and on that note, so in my looking up, trying to find daily ways of courage, I came across a man by Robert Staub, Dusty Staub.
Oh, Dusty.
Man, it sounds like a infielder for the Mets.
Dusty Staub steps into the plate, batting .248 on the year, 2 home runs, struck out last time up. There was a guy named Rusty Staub, if I remember.
That may be the guy I was thinking of.
Go on.
But yeah, so 7 Acts of Courage. He's written many, many books. The 7 Acts of Courage, Bold Leadership for a Wholehearted Life. He identifies these 7. Number 1, the courage to dream and express the dream. 2, the courage to see your current reality. 3, the courage to tell truth to power. 4, the courage to be confronted and accept that constructive criticism. 5, the courage to step into the unknown, which also could involve giving up the need to be right.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. And 6...
It's a hard one to let go of.
Oh, yeah. The courage to be vulnerable and open. And 7, the courage to take action.
I like all that.
Yeah.
That's all very good. And who else I bet would like that would be former Rangers right fielder, designated hitter, and first baseman Rusty Staub.
Ooh,
there you go. I like
look at
playing
that.
with the Rangers in 1980. That's why I thought of him. That's great. I like that. Thank you for giving me something to think about.
Well, thank you, Greg.
There you go. It's tied all together. That is something to think about. Now, let's get to the main event. Let's go and let's hear from our special guest. Coming up after the break, we will hear from Jeff Egger here on the RYLACast. Oh, Josey,
Hello.
I don't know if you noticed, but we have a special guest here.
Yes, I have noticed.
Oh, okay.
I haven't said anything.
Oh, is it just awkward?
It's really awkward, actually.
Well, all right, I guess we might as well introduce him. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring in the man of the hour. Give it up for Jeff Egger. Yay! Yeah!
Yeah.
Hi, bud.
Hey, guys.
What's going on?
Not much.
Yeah?
Yeah. Living the dream.
Are
Yeah.
you nervous?
No, not at all. I get paid to do this.
By whom?
I'm still working on it. I'm gonna.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna find
You
somebody.
like theoretically get paid,
Right,
what you're saying.
yeah, that's
okay.
right.
So Jeff Egger is here. Jeff, thank you for taking a little bit of time
You're welcome.
to talk with us.
My pleasure.
Here on the RYLAcast.
Anytime.
We will start this interview the way that we have started every interview we've ever done, which is we're going to kindly request that you lay out for us your RYLA story, whatever it may be. If maybe it's the first you're hearing of this.
Yeah. No, I definitely know what RYLA is.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
I've been here
Oh,
before. Yeah.
man.
Boy, bullet dodge, Josey.
We got the right Jeff Egger here.
Yeah. Whew. You're like, oh my gosh.
That would have been weird.
Yeah.
So I grew up knowing about RYLA. My mom is a Rotarian. I was going to say was. She is a Rotarian. And I actually, at some point in elementary school, I remember going to RYLA to riding with my mom to pick up the campers. And I was like, this is really weird, you know?
Oh, wow. So you got like in at a very early age.
Yeah, it was like in Bridgeport, you know, and way early on, just to pick up campers. It was odd, but so I knew what RYLA was, and I always heard my mom talk about it, and knew that I wanted to go and wanted to be a part of it. So I applied, and I was a camper in 2004. I was sent by the Dallas Trinity Rotary Club, so. Referring to Josey's podcast, you or when you were featured, except for you're on it now, all the time.
It's always Josey's
This is bad,
podcast,
sorry.
man. This is the Josey cast.
You talked
Yeah.
about being from Big Duff's Rotary Club.
That's correct.
So I was from Mark Healy's Rotary Club.
Ah.
So yeah, little known fact.
Now it's a well-known fact.
That's right. Yeah, that's right. Anyway,
You know this is an audio medium, right?
That's right. That's right.
Okay, just making sure.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that means, but
I just mean that,
yeah.
like, if you're pointing to somebody else in the studio, hypothetically, people can't tell.
Oh, that's right. Well, I just pointed at people. There's someone else in the room that was also from Mark Healy's club, but whatever. Anyway, so
Like, we're trying to, like, radio is theater of the mind, and we're just,
Yeah.
like, tearing down the
yeah,
stage.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I'm a teacher.
Go on. Well, spoiler alert
Yeah.
for the end of the podcast.
Well,
You're a
Good.
teacher.
Dang it. It's
Go
over.
on.
Anyway, so 2004 camper. I went to Tyler Street Christian Academy. So going to camp was actually kind of a big change. I was in a class of 13, roughly 60 or so in our high school. So going to Camp RYLA around a bunch of other people, it was just different. And so kind of what I was thinking about on my way here was my camp story, and kind of what I talk about post-camp is just the idea of living, with no regrets. And a lot of times you hear people talk about leaving camp and having that mountaintop, experience where their lives were changed for the better and all that. And that's fantastic. That's great.
Mm-hmm.
But mine was more a story of feeling like I kind of missed out on an opportunity. And, I was talking with my wife on the way over here about what that actually meant that I missed out on. Did I not take advantage of conversations? And this is going to sound really weird, but so I play bass guitar, and so I brought my bass and my amp to camp. And that
Oh, I thought you were going to say you
man.
brought it here.
I got really.
I was like,
Since
Josey,
2004,
Josey, get the speaker.
I've been waiting for this opportunity. No.
That's the only reason you accepted the invitation.
But,
To be
that's
like,
right.
yeah, I want to talk about RYLA, but first of all, I want to lay down a sick lick.
15 years ago, living in regret since then. No, but I brought my guitar and this old, horrible, heavy amplifier, and I remember bringing it to camp and just putting it in the corner in my cabin next to my bed. And you go throughout camp, you're planning out, what you're going to do for skits, which skits and talent night is much different now, but I remember one of the guys in my cabin saying, "Hey, Jeff, you have your guitar. Why don't we incorporate the guitar into something?" And I just freaked out. And I was like, no, it's just a bass guitar. You got to have a lead guitar, but to do anything with a bass, we'll just do something different. And our talent actually just was horrible. Like, it was really bad. We're one of the reasons that it got changed to actually having
agent
rules.
Of change at RYLA.
Oh, man, yeah. So then leaving camp, I carried the guitar and carried this horrible amp and put it in the car and drove away. And, it was just like carrying this weight. I was just like, man, like, I did not seize the opportunity. And I don't want to have this feeling again. So that's kind of my theme when I go back to RYLA, and the opportunities I do have to go back is just to encourage people, live with no regrets, take advantage of every opportunity at camp and just in life. Take advantage of every opportunity professionally, whatever it may be. You don't want to live in that area of regret. I think you'd rather, have put it all out there and just see what happens.
So what are you passionate about that you learned at camp or didn't learn at camp the year? I know you just told us about living with no regrets, but what else?
I think just like generally,
That's a hard-hitting question.
I know, sorry. I was looking at my notes, and I was going to say what stuck with you, but you just eloquently put the thing that stuck with you for 15 years. So you stumped me.
Yeah, no. I think that it's just that theme of trying to live, life with no regrets. And I grew up at the same school, K through 12. I went to the same college. I had the same major. Like, I just knew what I wanted to do. And I started working the first school that I was at, and got 5 years in and kind of thought, I'll just retire here. This is where I'll be. And was faced with the opportunity to go to a different school, a smaller school, less pay, kind of dive into a project with some people. And, it got to the point where Rebecca and I were just like, okay, are we going to do this? Are we going to take a chance and see what happens? Or are we just going to, sink into this little bubble and just be comfortable here? And we decided to take the chance. So that's not to say, I'm going to take all my savings and take a chance on some random opportunity financially or whatever. But I think that's kind of my passion is just, let's not wonder what would have happened. Let's take a chance and see what could happen.
So then you've stayed involved with camp, and obviously with the program and things like that. We're waving at your eldest daughter,
5-year-old,
your 5-year-old daughter,
Charlotte. Hey, Char.
And so you've stayed involved with camp. I guess my question is why? Like, what is it about this program that you get out of it? We all do. Obviously, we want to give back and things like that. But I'm a big believer that you wouldn't be doing this if you weren't getting something in return in a way that is satisfying for you. What is it that you get from staying involved with it?
Yeah, I think it's just taking pride in the opportunity to have an impact on a young person's life, and to maybe my interactions or that one conversation I might have had might have been the difference maker in helping that student really decide, hey, I'm going to take a chance on this opportunity. Or maybe it's, doing the grunt work to help make sure that camp, goes on without any hiccups. I think that's the biggest thing. Obviously, we talk about giving back, but just wanting to make sure that the future of RYLA, everyone gets to have that opportunity that I did.
So I'm going to continue with the hard-hitting questions.
You really are.
Do it.
I know you alluded to this earlier, but what do you do now?
I am a teacher coach. I am finishing up year number 9.
Oh,
gosh, I didn't think that was right. So I teach and coach. I teach various levels of math and coach. I'm currently in Gunter, Texas.
Go Tigers.
Yeah, go Tigers. And so I've been in the education profession and grown up around it. My mom's a superintendent, actually at Tyler Street Christian Academy, where I graduated from. So it's kind of in my blood. I grew up around it, and that's what I do.
the word you chose, as we mentioned in other episodes, we're giving the opportunity for our guests to book the whole show, basically. And the word you chose was courage. You've kind of, I think, is it fair to say that's been a bit of the through line of your entire RYLA story? Has been kind of the courage to make sure you're taking advantage of every opportunity. Yeah, for sure. I think the biggest thing, initially to me is just having the courage to, admit, hey, my experience wasn't that great. Everyone else has that fantastic experience, but mine wasn't. What can I do to change that? And just to have the courage, not only to admit that, but to take the necessary steps to ensure that I don't have that same feeling of living in regret in the future, and I kind of alluded to it as well. My first year being at Melissa High School for 5 years, I was really comfortable. I was ready just to be there. And a guy ahead of me took a head coach AD job at another school and decided to take me with them. And, Rebecca and I just kind of had to have that courage to, hey, let's take the job that may not pay as much, might not be as flashy, but we've got an opportunity to really make a difference in kids' lives and have fun doing it. And that kind of propelled me into working in a few different areas and being able to work under other leaders and really kind of sharpen up my skills as far as being in leadership roles within the education system. Do you have something? I have one more thing.
Okay, no, you go
Okay,
ahead.
that's fine. Then you can ask him about what he wants to plug.
Okay.
So, you mentioned courage and you mentioned Camp RYLA, and I think one thing that kind of springs to mind is happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Jeffrey. Happy birthday to you. Yeah! Today's your birthday, buddy.
It is. Today is my birthday.
How many are you now?
The big 32.
Really?
So your 32nd birthday.
32nd birthday.
That's it.
That's
over.
That's
It's done.
I didn't plan out the end of that. I just kind of figured I would sing happy birthday to you and figure you would take it from there. Does anyone? Let me ask you. Does anyone call you Jeffrey? Because I'm Gregory, right? You're Andrew, but you kind of go by Andrew, right?
Yeah.
I mean, except when you don't.
Except when I don't. Well documented.
But does anybody call you Jeffrey?
My mom does, and Rebecca does every now and then, just if she's trying to, I don't know, get my attention or be funny, or she'll say, I don't know, Jeffrey, or whatever. So
okay.
So
she's wanting to interject, but I didn't do that on your interview, so.
I noticed that you call her Rebecca and I call her Becca.
Yeah, no, Becca is like what I've called her for forever, but for some reason within the past 6 months, I don't know if it's because I'm in my 30s now, but it's just like, okay.
Oh, it's just a 30s thing. Yeah.
She's no longer Becca from camp. I guess I'm going to call her Rebecca. Yeah, no, but I don't really know. Midlife crisis or something. I'm just calling her Rebecca now.
I certainly hope 32 is not a midlife crisis. My goodness, dude.
Who knows?
Let's have some positivity. How's Gunter going to be?
Let's be courageous.
Hey,
let's
look
have
at that.
Hey, just a personal question. How's Gunter going to be this year?
I feel very confident.
We feel good.
Yeah,
I mean, I know we lose Dylan Chance.
We do.
Those guys don't grow on trees.
That's right.
This is a high school football podcast now.
Yeah, that's right. We've transitioned
Finally,
from RYLA to
finally we're in my
hashtag
wheelhouse.
TXHSFB.
Finally, something I know about.
That's right.
We can do this.
I'm excited.
I'm going to put that hashtag on the podcast. So, by the way,
so confused.
People are listening for so long.
like one small nugget about
right.
a 3A Division 1? 2.
Division 2.
Thank you. 3A Division 2 state semifinalist.
Thanks for bringing that up.
You made the state semifinals.
That's right, we did.
Seems pretty good.
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
It was a good
And
experience.
the 2000 and what year did they win the title?
2011 2A.
2011 2A. You're Melissa.
I'm talking about Melissa.
That's
you're
Melissa.
talking about Gunter.
But then
Sorry.
Gunter did win a title
2016.
in 2016.
Yeah, that's right.
That's right. Okay. Anyway,
Yeah.
Josey, you got one more thing?
yeah, I got one more thing. So, is there something that you would like to plug? A movie, television show, children's book, podcast?
Well,
Food?
I do
Food
love.
unit?
Okay, I love a lot of things. I'm going to plug a few things.
Okay.
Okay, So something professional. I'm going to plug the Dave Campbell's Texas Football podcast.
Buddy, you know the way to my heart.
Hashtag TXHSFP.
It's called Texas Football Today.
Texas Football Today, sorry. It's just on my podcast app because Greg Tepper showed me how to do that. And the silly thing, I was reminded of this.
Wait, my podcast isn't the silly thing?
Oh, sorry, no. So, coaching some kids today, having them run through a speed ladder, doing agilities, and really coaching them up on, getting out of that ladder and sprinting just 10 yards, right? And so these kids are just like, as hard as they can going through this thing. And we're doing kind of a tough lateral movement where they're going sideways. And there was a span of like 3 or 4 kids in a row where their feet just got hung up in the speed ladder, and they just like hit the ground. And they're like one after the other on top of each other rolling, and it's just like, man, this is so awesome watching people fall. As long as they get up safely.
Okay.
So look up on YouTube people falling. And this is really bad, but
right now.
Yeah,
okay.
Look up someone falling.
YouTube.
And as long as they're okay and don't break anything.
Falling. The thing that comes up next is someone falling down the stairs.
Okay.
I'm gonna watch the first one of these compilation, a 7-minute and 38-second compilation of people falling downstairs.
Dude, yes, it's hilarious. And even like, I don't know, like when I was waiting earlier, I saw on Instagram this woman. Here it is. She's riding the kids' roller coaster, and she falls on her face. Isn't that funny?
We have run the gamut here.
Ladies and gentlemen, give it up for the birthday boy, Jeff Egger.
Later that same evening.
Hi, we're back for a bonus segment here with Jeff Egger because Jeff did the last thing that he said to be telling you to laugh at people falling down. Jeff, what would you like to plug?
Well, the one serious thing I would like to plug is that there's a book out there. It's by Seth Davis. It's called Getting to Us, and it talks about how great coaches make great teams. It's got Coach K. It's got Doc Rivers, so it covers football, basketball, covers all kinds of different things. But Dabo Swinney, who I have an unofficial man crush on.
It's the head coach at Clemson.
Crush.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I wasn't sure who he was.
Oh, yeah.
It's a head coach at Clemson.
Oh, okay.
It's a university in South Carolina.
Have they won some championships?
I would need to check, but I want to say no.
Okay. We'll continue.
Gigamags. So, anyways, Dabo Swinney doesn't have much out there other than he has really great news conferences, but he's got a chapter in this book, and it's a really good book. So, How Great Coaches Make Great Teams, Getting to Us by Seth Davis. It'd be good for anybody.
One more time, Jeff Egger.
Thank
you. Jeff Egger joining us here on the RYLACast, an outstanding football coach.
Yes.
I can tell you that.
State champion football coach.
State champion, and they played for another title. Was he on the staff whenever they played for a title? I'm thinking to myself, high school football. Sorry.
I don't think so.
I don't think he was either. I think you're right. It was just Melissa. But they are going to be very good again. If you want to buy a copy of Dave Campbell's Texas Football, it comes out in June. Please, I put the food in my tummy. Anyway, appreciate Jeff Egger hopping on with us. All right, it's my turn to give you something to leave you with. My wife is a my wife is a 5th grade teacher. If there are any 5th graders who are listening to this podcast, I need you to earmuff it for me just for a second. Just go ahead and put your hands over your ears. I am convinced that 5th graders are the worst people in the world. Okay. They are the stories that I hear of these 5th graders. Oh my gosh, it's just. And I think that there's a span somewhere between like 4th grade and like 7th grade where we become the worst versions of ourselves. Sometimes it happens later, sometimes it happens earlier. But to me, maybe it's just because I hear a lot of 5th grade stories. But in any case, I also have a son. His name's Hank. He sleeps and he eats and he uses diapers. But anyway, not about that. But those things tie together in the sense that I have been thinking a lot about children's books. Children's books. You get a lot of kids books whenever you get a whenever you get a kid.
Get a kid.
Yeah,
Yes.
whenever one it's
Lives in your house for free.
Yeah, for free is right, dude. No, it's not for free. It's a net. I won't go into it. Love you, Hank. Anyway, point is, so I was actually looking for, because I think that sometimes courage can be really simple, and so I was looking for a children's book that I knew that would kind of tie it all together. I didn't find one. Mm-hmm. But then I thought about a book that I have read to my wife's 5th grade class. They have a day every year where they invite members of the community to come in and read. I kind of do my part and come in and read to my wife's class. And they let you pick out a book. And for the past 3 years, I've picked out the same book. And I think that it's a roundabout story about courage. Let me tell you about it. The book is, of course, the classic, the one that a New York Times bestseller by Terry Border called Peanut Butter and Cupcake.
Peanut Butter and Cupcake.
Peanut Butter and Cupcake.
Okay.
It's a great book. It's filled with a lot of food puns, which I'm super into. For example, they have a hamburger, and the hamburger says, "I'm sorry, I'm busy walking the dogs." And what's he doing? He's walking
the hot dogs.
He's walking hot dogs. It's just a lot of food puns.
Oh,
They're
yeah.
big into food puns. But the whole point of the book is that there is a new kid in town, and his name is Peanut Butter. And it's a piece of bread with peanut butter on it. And he goes up to all these different foods, including the hamburger, including the cupcake, including all these different pieces of food. He says the same thing to them. He goes, "Hello, I'm new here. I'd like to play. Or maybe now, maybe later, or even all day. I'll make you chuckle down deep in your belly, and we'll go together like peanut butter and hamburger."
Oh.
Or peanut butter and cupcake. Or peanut butter and... I don't remember the other ones. I don't have the book in front of me. But in any case, point is, he goes through. And as you can tell, I don't know if you caught on to the clever setup that they had.
I had. No.
But they're setting it up for him to meet Jelly.
Oh.
Because they go together, right? Peanut butter, and you've ever heard of that?
Like peanut butter and jelly?
Yes.
Yeah.
But the thing that always stuck out to me about that, and the thing that I think there's a roundabout lesson on courage is obviously you can be the new kid in town, and that stinks. But peanut butter gets rejected in this book like 10 or 11 times. Like, it happens a lot. Now, part of it is that there's not the right fit. He's looking for the right fit.
Mm-hmm.
But he keeps going to these people and saying the same thing, hoping that one day it's going to work out. And I know that there's the idea of the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting a different result. But I think I disagree a little bit, because I do think that if you feel like you are on the right path, that's not to say that you shouldn't change paths if you feel that's prudent or that you're just running into a brick wall. But I do think that there's a lesson to be learned from Peanut Butter and Cupcake. And that lesson is that sometimes it just takes the trying. Mm-hmm. And it just, you mentioned that there's no courage without failure. And sometimes you just have to keep trying, keep going until you find that perfect mix. And by the way, at the end of this classic, he does find Jelly. And everyone comes and plays together.
Oh,
right?
It's
a really nice story.
That's a nice
lesson. So, I don't know. That struck me. I'm sure there are other people like, why don't you talk about somebody who won the Medal of Freedom? Well, I think Peanut Butter has courage too.
There's also going to be somebody that says, well, have you ever had a peanut butter and banana sandwich?
You know what? I have.
And?
It's great. But that's not the point.
Right.
He didn't say, I'll make you chuckle down deep in your anana, and we'll go together like peanut butter and banana.
Banana. Sorry, you had a really great point, and I just...
No, we're fine. It's fine. Everything's fine. Okay. That is going to do it for us. Thank you for spending a little bit of your day with us. Thanks once again to the star of the show, Jeff Edgar, for being our guest. Josey, of course, what's the website again? We're supposed to plug the website.
The website is Camp...
Oh, no. My gosh, I'm going to pull it up.
I'm sorry. It is RYLA Alumni 5810.
Nope.
No?
Mm-mm.
.org?
Nope.
Oh, no. Camp RYLA.
It's RYLA5810alumni.org. But you know what? You had the courage to try.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, we did it!
Yes!
Thank you for spending part of your day with us. Please rate, subscribe this podcast if you like it. Tell your friends. For Josey, I appreciate you being here.
Well, thank you, Greg. I
have-
appreciate you being here.
And you know what? Let's have the courage to do another podcast next week.
Let's do it.
We'll see you next time on the RYLACast.